welcome to the Arizona Highland Homestead. I'm Nick, and today we're showing you some of the grazing practices that we found on our property. Less than a half an acre. We're up at about 5,500 feet. We're up in the mountains of Arizona, up in the pines, where the pines meet the cactus is probably the best way to explain it. But we've got a case study going on here, and we haven't really found any true conclusions yet, but we are experiencing some pretty cool stuff with different grasses and cover crops and actually grazing chickens. So let me show you what I'm talking about. All right, so this is typical of what we have seen on our property this year. These volunteer grasses, I don't know what species they are, but we have planted some types of cover crops, and I believe this is some type of sedge that we may have planted before. This might be like a wheat or triticale, as is this one right here with these longer blades of grass. And this stuff over here, you can see these long blades of grass are kind of what we're talking about. So keep that in mind. But just as you look at our different plants that we have here, we have a whole bunch of different stuff. We've got this grass here, we have this one here. It's going to seed here in the beginning of October. We have this kind of weedy native plant, and anyway, you can see all of the different types of plants, weeds, sunflowers, as those might be, and that's kind of how it looks. So we are trying to improve the soil. That is our number one goal. Some of this stuff here, I believe that this is a type of bird seed. I think that's millet, but we also have clovers, and we planted clover seed and triticale. These are oats right here. This might look like a weed to a lot of you, but those are intentionally planted. Oh, this one's good too. See this right here? This is a hairy vetch with all those small leaves like that. See that one there? So the point is that we have planted cover crop seeds such as clover, the triticale, the oats, the hairy vetch, things like that to grow soil health. But we haven't planted most of these types of grasses that you see in here, and we have been grazing our chickens on all of it. Let me show you what it looks like over here where we've actually been grazing them. So you can see the boys have this this chuck it ball tosser for our dogs right here, but never mind that. We have some triticale, I believe is what this is growing here, and it's growing great. Now keep in mind that this is the end of the warm season, so we have lots of stuff that is dying off, and the cover crops are doing better. But we've grazed the chickens in this area, and you can see they've taken a lot of the grasses that we weren't really desiring, like this stuff in here, and they've really scratched it up and eaten all the seeds off of it, and it is just not doing quite as well as this stuff over here that is really rich and lush and dark green. And that is a cover crop that we planted, and the chickens are basically leaving it and letting it grow. You can see some of these pieces have been eaten, and then some are growing some more. So here's a great example of a blade that got eaten, but not eaten all the way down. And these cover crop plants are really taking off. This whole area was grazed very heavily by our chickens. Even the clover is doing really well, and like I said, part of that is the time of year, but we're seeing some succession with the different types of plants that have been grazed in here. And we have some straw down. Some of that was for erosion purposes, but it's also for weed suppression. And the cover crops are doing great. growing right up through here. I mean, look at how tall that stuff is. It's probably like over a foot tall right there. And these were all grazed down to the ground. But let me show you what our chickens are up to right now. So this was a patch that they were on yesterday, and they were on it for 2 days. And here's what they're on today. Flies have found their droppings. But what's interesting is that they are eating all of these grasses down to the ground and scratching the grasses that aren't the cover crops, and they're leaving the tops of the cover crops. I don't know if you guys can see that well through the chicken wire, but you see how they're trimming that plant right there? Let's see if I can get you through the chicken wire. They're trimming it and leaving long pieces of it, trampling it. But that's what they've been doing over there in the first area I showed you, where the cover crops are growing real well, but the other weeds are being suppressed. So you can see this is a native plant right in here. This one, it's a native plant, and they're chewing it way down. So it's our soil health is definitely growing because we have the chickens on this stuff. And I don't know why. My wife Danielle and I were just talking about why are they leaving so much of that stuff. I'm not sure. But that plant right there is a great example of how the chickens just trim it up, and they leave some long leaves on it. But there's another great plant outside that you can see right here. It's kind of what it looked like before a little bit. But they're doing a great job for us, and I just had to show you guys what we're seeing. Like I said, it's kind of anecdotal evidence right now. We haven't made any true conclusions, but just from this area, my wife Danielle just had to show me, and it makes me so happy that our soil health is definitely improving because of putting chickens on our weedy areas and planting those areas with cover crop every time it's about to rain. All right, well, I'm Nick from Arizona Highland Homestead. I appreciate you guys watching. Hope that was helpful and encouraging and inspiring for you guys who maybe don't have sheep like we hope to have someday as well, and don't have cattle. You're hoping to rotationally graze and do some regenerative agriculture like we are, and just start with chickens. Put them out on the weeds, make a little chicken tractor like we did out of pallet wood, and build it cheap and ugly if you have to, like we did. It's effective and it works. Anyway, again, I'm Nick from Arizona Highland Homestead. We appreciate you guys watching. We'll have more videos for you real soon.